My name is Isabella Johnson, but everyone calls me Izzy. I'm 32, a UX designer who lives mostly in hoodies and quiet playlists. Until a few months ago, I thought my boyfriend Ethan Moore loved that about me. He used to say I was real a break from all the posturing in his social media world. We met 2 years ago at an art gallery opening. He was all clean lines and charisma-tailored jacket watch that probably cost a month of my rent. I was in jeans, sneakers, and a thrift store cardigan. I remember him smiling at me like I was the calm in a room full of mirrors. In the beginning, he meant it. He'd tease me about my lazy artist aesthetic, but his eyes would soften right after. He'd say, "Don't change a thing, Iz. You're like, peace I can hold." But peace gets boring to people who live for attention. The first cracks showed after he landed a new job creative director for a boutique marketing agency that handled luxury fashion accounts. Suddenly, every dinner was networking, every photo brand aligned. He still invited me along, but I started to notice the pause, the way his eyes flicked from my clothes to the crowd before he kissed my cheek hello. Little comments followed. "You'd look amazing in something more structured. Maybe we should get you a stylist for fun. You have such a nice figure. It's a shame those jeans don't show it." I laughed them off, but something in me started to shrink each time. 2 weeks ago, we were supposed to go to his friend's rooftop cocktail party, some fashion crowd thing. I stood in front of my mirror longer than usual. I tried a black dress I'd worn to a wedding once. Too formal. A floral skirt. Too cottagecore, whatever that means. In the end, I chose what felt like me. A cream sweater, dark jeans, low boots, a hint of lipstick. When Ethan arrived, he didn't even say hi. His eyes traveled from my boots to my hair and stopped at disappointment. "That's what you're wearing." I smiled, trying to keep it light. "It's cold, and it's on a roof." He sighed, one of those long, heavy sighs that say you've already lost the argument. "Izzy, everyone there will be put together. This isn't brunch with your cousins." "Then maybe you should go without me." I meant it as a joke, but his silence made it feel like a proposal. We did go, though. I told myself I was imagining things, that he was just stressed, but the entire night he barely touched me. Introduced me as Isabella Formal Detached. When his friend Charlotte complimented my earrings, Ethan laughed softly and said I picked them. She needs help with these things. It wasn't the words. It was the tone, the little humiliation hidden in charm. On the drive home, the city lights blurred behind the windshield. I stared out while he scrolled through photos from the party on his phone. "Everyone looked amazing," he said. "You fit in. Okay. But you've got to start caring about how you present yourself. People notice these things." I turned to him. "You mean you notice?" He didn't answer right away. Then flatly, "I can't take you to events like this if you don't make an effort. It reflects on both of us." That word reflects hit harder than I expected, like I was a mirror that embarrassed him. "So what are you saying?" I asked. He parked in front of my apartment and finally looked at me. His voice was calm, practiced. "I'm saying fix your style or this won't work." The streetlight sliced across his face, one side golden, the other dark. For a second, I couldn't breathe. "Ethan, I love you, Izzy. But image matters. It's who I am. If we're going to grow together, you need to look like you belong next to me." I smiled, the kind of smile you give when you've just been cut but don't want to bleed in front of them. "I'll work on it," I said. His expression softened instantly, like I'd given him the right answer. He leaned in and kissed my cheek. "Thank you, baby. It'll be fun. We'll go shopping this weekend." He didn't know that sentence rewrote our story. Because upstairs in my small apartment with the unglamorous couch and stacks of half-read books, I opened my laptop and stared at the tab I'd kept secret for 6 months. Paris anniversary trip confirmed. Business class tickets. 5 nights at a boutique hotel in Le Marais. Dinner at Jules Verne under the Eiffel Tower. All for him, for us. I'd taken freelance gigs until 2 a.m., skipped holidays, turned down every indulgence so I could give him a city full of light. Now all I could see was the glow from the screen reflecting on a man who thought I wasn't good enough to be seen beside him. The booking was fully refundable for 1 more week. My cursor hovered over cancel. My hand didn't even tremble. Click! The confirmation email arrived instantly. "Your refund will be processed within 5 to 7 business days." I leaned back, the silence loud around me. Outside rain began to tap the window. Somewhere below, a car alarm wailed, then stopped. I opened my notes app and typed one sentence. If he wants someone stylish, he can watch my Paris stories and see how freedom looks on me. I didn't know yet how or when I'd do it, only that I would. The next morning, Ethan texted like nothing happened. Good morning, beautiful. Hope you slept well. I found a few stores we can hit this weekend. I stared at the message, my thumb hovering over the screen. Beautiful. The word felt cheap now, like wrapping paper over something already broken. Still, I played along. Sounds good, can't wait. My voice when I read it back didn't even sound like me. Saturday came. He picked me up in his spotless black sedan, the kind that smelled like new leather and expensive cologne. As soon as I sat down, he reached over, adjusting a Johnson of my hair. You'd look amazing with a lighter tone. Something warmer, maybe honey brown. I like my hair black, I said. He smiled faintly. Sure, just think about it. We spent 5 hours at a luxury mall, the kind where every store had soft jazz, and salespeople who called you darling without meaning it. Ethan's world. At first I tried to make it fun, laughing, trying on clothes, but every time I stepped out of the fitting room, he tilted his head and said, "Almost, or we're getting closer." Closer to what? He handed me a white blazer that probably cost more than my laptop. Try this. It'll make you look more polished. I slipped it on. The fabric was heavy foreign. Feels like I'm borrowing someone else's life, I muttered. What was that? Nothing, I smiled. By lunchtime, I'd stopped pretending to enjoy it. He didn't notice. He kept talking about upgrading my vibe, about matching our energy as a couple. I nodded in the right places, but inside I was building walls. Thick, invisible, unbreakable. We passed a display of travel luggage, sleek metallic, designed for people who post airport selfies. Ethan pointed at one. If we travel somewhere soon, you can't take that old suitcase. It screams economy. I almost laughed. You won't be coming with me anyway, I thought. Maybe I'll get something new, I said. He smiled satisfied. That's my girl. That night, while he dropped me off, he kissed me goodnight with that same confident ease that once made me melt. But this time, it felt rehearsed, like a man maintaining his image, not love. As soon as his car disappeared, I walked past my apartment and headed down the street to a small, local boutique run by an elderly woman named Mrs. Leclerc. I'd passed it 100 times, but never gone in. The shop smelled like lavender and wood polish. Clothes hung without logos or price tags, each piece soft and human. The woman smiled. Looking for something special, dear. I thought for a moment. Something that feels like me. She nodded, pulled out a loose white linen shirt and simple blue jeans. When I tried them on, I looked at myself in the mirror, not glamorous, not elevated, just comfortable. Perfect, she said. You look alive. I bought them, paid in cash, walked out lighter. Sunday, Ethan came over for brunch. I wore the linen shirt. He frowned. Target again. No, I said. Somewhere better. He nodded absently, already scrolling through his phone. I sent you some influencer reels last night. Did you watch them? They could help you pick looks. I'll check them out later. You should. Presentation matters, Izzy, especially if we're serious about our future. Future. The word tasted bitter. That evening, I sat on my couch with my laptop open, the Paris itinerary glowing like a secret. The flights, the hotel, the reservation, at that restaurant, under the Eiffel Tower, all still there. Only one ticket now. Mine. For 6 months, I'd planned to surprise him, imagining his reaction, his jaw dropping, his laughter, his arms around me. Now I imagined the silence instead, the shock on his face when he saw the Paris story pop up on Instagram. But I didn't want to post out of spite. I wanted it to mean something, to show that I wasn't broken by his conditions. Monday, he texted me photos from his lunch meeting with his boss. You'd have loved the view, I replied, with a single photo, my passport on the table next to a boarding pass. Headed somewhere. Where he texted back. Just a place that doesn't need a dress code. No reply. Just 3 dots for a long time, then nothing. At the airport, I carried one suitcase old scratch, definitely not designer. My mother's scarf tied around the handle. The flight attendant smiled when I boarded. Paris for work or pleasure? Neither, I said. For peace. The seat beside me was empty. I imagined him there for a brief second, his critical eyes, the way he'd sigh when I ordered plain coffee instead of a latte. Then I looked out the window, watched the clouds swallow the city below, and smiled. When the plane landed, I turned on my phone. The first thing I did was open Instagram. A photo, a croissant, a cappuccino, the Eiffel Tower, peeking in the background. Caption: Finding myself in the city of light. Within minutes, notifications exploded. Ethan calling, Ethan texting. Ethan. Are you kidding me? Paris alone. Ethan. What is this, Ethan? Call me now. I turned off read receipts. Then I wrote him one message. Taking your advice, working on myself. I hit send, set the phone face down, and looked out the cafe window. The city shimmered like forgiveness. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in months. Paris didn't feel like a destination. It felt like an exhale that had been waiting years to leave my lungs. The air carried this soft perfume of coffee rain and bread. My first morning there, I sat at a tiny corner cafe near Montmartre, a croissant flaking all over my journal. I wrote one sentence at the top of the page: "No one here knows me, and that's the most freeing thing of all." Across the street, an old couple held hands while sharing a cigarette. A woman in bright red boots laughed so loudly her friends turned heads. No one stared at me. No one measured me. For the first time, I wasn't being evaluated. I was simply existing. My phone buzzed again. 26 unread messages. I didn't open them. Instead, I ordered another espresso and walked along the Seine. My sneakers squeaked on the cobblestones, and I thought about how Ethan once told me that white sneakers were a high school thing. I looked down at them now, dusty, imperfect, but mine, and smiled. That night, I checked into the hotel that was supposed to be our anniversary surprise, a small boutique overlooking the rooftops of Le Marais. The receptionist greeted me in French. I replied in clumsy phrases, earning a polite smile. When I unlocked the room, I stood in the doorway for a long time. One bed, 2 champagne glasses, 2 robes neatly folded on the chair. It felt like stepping into the ghost of a plan that had died before it lived. I poured a glass of champagne anyway, opened the balcony doors, and let the wind tangle my hair. The city glowed gold beneath me. I took a photo of the skyline and posted it. Dinner for 2. One's enough. The phone started buzzing again, harder this time. Ethan, what are you doing? Are you seriously in Paris without me? This is cruel, Izzy. I muted the thread. Then I muted his name from my thoughts. The next few days unfolded like scenes from a film I never thought I'd get to live. I walked through the Louvre alone, no one tugging my hand toward the right exhibits. I stood in front of a Monet painting for 10 minutes until my eyes blurred with tears. Not from sadness, just awe. I ate crepes by the river, took photos of Stransonger's dogs, got lost twice, and didn't panic once. In the evenings, I posted quiet photos, a reflection of the Eiffel Tower in my wine glass. 2 chairs on a terrace, one empty one occupied by my shadow. My captions were simple: peace, perspective, freedom. By the third night, Ethan escalated. His text turned from confusion to fury. Are you trying to humiliate me? My friends are asking why you're posting this. Do you realize what people will think? I laughed out loud in my hotel room. There it was again, the reflection. Always worried about what people think. I replied once, just taking your advice, Ethan. Working on myself. Then I switched off Wi-Fi. At a cafe in Saint-Germain. The next morning, I met a woman named Claudine, maybe in her 60s, who sketched people as they passed. She asked if she could draw me. I said yes. When she finished, she turned the page around. The sketch wasn't perfect, my hair too wild, my eyes tired, but it looked alive. You look like someone who finally remembered herself, Claudine said. I teared up. I think I did. We talked about love, and she said something I wrote down word for word. When a man tries to rewrite your story, leave before he finishes the first sentence. That night, I stood on the Pont Neuf Bridge as the Eiffel Tower began to sparkle. I recorded a short video of it. No music, no words, just the sound of the river and the light trembling across the sky. Posted it with no caption. Within minutes, Ethan called again, 14 times. Then came the voicemails. Izzy, this isn't funny. You're making me look ridiculous. We need to talk. I can't believe you'd throw away everything like this. I listened to them all standing barefoot on the hotel carpet, the city humming below. My heart didn't race like it used to. It just steadied. I whispered to the empty room. Now we're even. The last day I took a train to Versailles. I wore the same linen shirt I'd bought from Mrs. Leclerc's boutique, a small rebellion stitched into every thread. The garden stretched endlessly mirrors of water and sky. A tourist couple asked me to take their photo, and when I handed back their camera, the woman smiled. You look happy, she said. I am, I replied, and I meant it. On my final evening, I dined alone at the restaurant I'd reserved months ago for Ethan and me, Jules Verne, inside the Eiffel Tower. The waiter looked momentarily surprised when I said, just one. Then he smiled. Ah, the best company. I ate slowly, savored every bite, watched couples around me holding hands, dressed in designer clothes, and realized something quietly profound. No one cared what I wore. No one cared if I fit in. Paris didn't need me to be stylish. It just needed me to be present. Before leaving, I left one of the 2 champagne glasses untouched on the table light, reflecting through it like a silent goodbye. I took a picture of the table for my story, 2 glasses, 1 empty chair. The city behind me glowing. Caption: sometimes the missing seat is peace. As I walked out, I didn't feel triumphant or vengeful, just whole. And maybe that was better revenge than any post could ever deliver. When I landed back home, the sky looked tired gray and thin, as if even the clouds didn't want to be here. I turned my phone off airplane mode. Messages flooded in before the seatbelt light even blinked off. Where are you? I deserve an explanation. We're done if you don't answer me right now. Izzy, please. I can't sleep. I need to understand why. I didn't reply. I just ordered a coffee at the Arrivals Cafe, sat by the window, and scrolled through my Paris photos one last time before archiving them. That chapter had done its job. When I reached my apartment, I almost didn't recognize the silence. Then a knock on the door. A sharp, angry rhythm I knew too well. Ethan. I opened the door, and for the first time since I'd known him, he didn't look composed. His hair was unstyled, his shirt wrinkled. His confidence, that smug, curated poise, had evaporated. We need to talk, he said. I stepped aside. Sure. He walked in like he still owned the place. His eyes darted around, maybe expecting to see signs of guilt or another man's shoes by the door. But all he found was a half-wilted plant and the faint smell of lavender detergent. How could you do that to me? He began pacing. You just disappeared. No warning. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. Embarrassed you, I repeated. That's what you're leading with. He froze. You knew how important that trip would have been for us. It was for us, I said softly. I planned it 6 months ago. Business class, hotel in Le Marais, Michelin dinner. I worked overtime to afford it. His jaw tensed. You're lying. I opened my phone, scrolled, and handed it to him, the old booking confirmation. Both our names side by side. The date 6 months earlier. He stared at it like it was a crime scene photo. You, he whispered, voice trembling. You planned all this. I did, I said. But then you told me I wasn't fit to stand next to you, so I went alone. He sat down heavily on the edge of the couch, the same couch where he'd once told me to dress like I respected myself. Now he looked small, swallowed by the cushions. You didn't have to punish me like that. I wasn't punishing you, Ethan. I was saving what was left of me. He rubbed his temples. You humiliated me publicly. You humiliated me privately, I said quietly. Over and over, and you didn't even notice. His phone buzzed. He ignored it, then buzzed again. He groaned, picking it up, his screen flashing with names I recognized. Charlotte, Ben, Naomi. He put it on speaker maybe to prove something. Ethan, Charlotte's voice crackled through. Did she really go to Paris alone after ghosting you? She planned it to spite me, he said quickly, glancing at me. I took the phone from his hand. Actually, Charlotte, I planned it 6 months ago as an anniversary gift. He just didn't make the cut. There was silence. Then the faint sound of Charlotte muttering, Oh, click. She hung up. Ethan's eyes widened. What the hell, Izzy? You wanted everyone to hear your version. Now they've heard mine. He stood, voice rising. You're making me out to be a monster. I don't have to make you anything, Ethan. You did that all by yourself. He exhaled shakily, rubbing the back of his neck. You're twisting this. All I ever wanted was to help you grow. Into what I asked. Someone you could display. A mirror that flatters your brand. That's not fair. No, I said, cutting him off. What's unfair is you trying to change me so your reflection looks better. He fell silent. For a moment he looked lost, like a man realizing the performance was over and there was no audience left to applaud. His voice softened. I just wanted us to fit. We did, I said, until you started measuring. He flinched. Then, in the kind of small voice I'd never heard from him, Do you still love me? I took a long breath. I think I love the version of you who saw me as peace, not a project. The quiet that followed was heavy, not angry, just final. He turned to leave, then stopped by the door. You really posted those photos to make me jealous, didn't you? I smiled faintly. No. I posted them to remind myself I exist outside of you. He blinked, unsure how to respond. Finally, he said, Everyone thinks I'm the villain now. Then maybe stop auditioning for that role, I said. He opened the door. Before stepping out, he glanced back one last time. You know people are calling you cruel. Maybe I said, but at least I'm honest. The door clicked shut. I stood there for a long time, the echo still ringing like a bell, announcing the end of something sacred. Then I picked up my phone and stared at the Paris photo, the empty chair across from me, the untouched champagne glass catching the light. For the first time, I understood what it really meant. It wasn't about revenge. It was about space. The kind you leave empty for peace to finally sit down. The following days felt strangely quiet. No arguments, no explanations, just the hum of my refrigerator and the soft tick of the clock, the sounds of ordinary peace I'd forgotten how to hear. Then came the digital storm. On Thursday morning, I woke up to 23 new notifications. Ethan Moore had posted a photo, a black and white shot of him at the gym, captioned, "Healing isn't easy, but truth always wins." Below it, a flood of comments. "You deserve better, King. Stay strong. Some women just don't appreciate a good man. She went to Paris alone." Yikes. I stared at the screen, half amused, half disgusted. It was impressive, really, how he'd turned himself into the victim of a story he'd written himself. For a moment, I considered ignoring it, but then I remembered how his narrative had always drowned out mine. Not this time. I opened my Instagram, selected one photo from my camera roll, the booking confirmation with both our names dated 6 months before the trip. Caption: "I planned a surprise. He planned to fix me." Within an hour, my DMs exploded. Old friends, colleagues, even his coworkers. "Wait, what? He told everyone you ghosted him. You did that for him." 6 months of planning. By noon, Ethan had gone silent online. And for the first time since we met, I didn't care what his silence meant. Friday evening, there was a knock at my door again. Softer this time. I almost didn't open it, but curiosity won. Ethan stood there holding a cardboard box. "I came to return your things," he said. I blinked. "My things?" He stepped inside, setting the box down. Inside were random items, a book I'd lent him, my old phone charger, even the mug I'd left at his place. It was all perfectly folded, arranged. Of course it was. He stood awkwardly. "I've been thinking about what you said." I crossed my arms, and "I wasn't trying to hurt you," he said. I wanted us to look like we had it together. My clients, my coworkers' image matters." I nodded slowly. "And what about when no one's watching?" He opened his mouth, then shut it. No answer. "You taught me something, Ethan," I said softly. "You can love someone and still suffocate them." He looked at me, eyes glassy. "Are you really done with me?" "I was done the moment you told me to be someone else." He swallowed hard, then gave a small nod, not angry, not defensive, just defeated. "Goodbye, Izzy," he whispered. "Goodbye, Ethan." When he left, the air in my apartment shifted lighter somehow, like all the invisible weight had finally lifted. Days turned into weeks. The online noise faded. People moved on to new dramas. I deleted old photos, unsubscribed from his playlists, and replaced our framed picture with one from Paris, that view from my hotel balcony, morning light, spilling across rooftops. Sometimes I still caught myself checking his page out of habit. He'd stopped posting selfies and started sharing motivational quotes about authenticity. The irony made me smile. A month later, something unexpected happened. My coworker David asked if I wanted to grab lunch after a meeting. He wasn't Ethan, no designer, watch, no curated confidence. Just kind eyes and a laugh that filled silence instead of sharpening it. We went to a food truck near the office, sat on a bench eating noodles out of paper cups, when I accidentally spilled sauce on my shirt. I froze, waiting for the familiar sigh, the lecture about presentation. Instead, David chuckled. "Now it's art," he said, handing me a napkin. I laughed so hard it startled me, the kind of laughter that comes from relief. That's when I realized I wasn't afraid of being seen anymore, not by others, not even by myself. A few days later, I found one of Ethan's cufflinks wedged between my couch cushions, and he's silver perfect, just like he always tried to be. I held it up to the light for a moment, then dropped it into the trash. No anger, no dramatic music, just release. That night, I opened my journal again. On a fresh page, I wrote, "Paris didn't change me. It reminded me who I already was." I closed the book and made tea, letting the steam rise into the quiet apartment. Sometimes when I scroll past couples on social media, the matching outfits, the perfect filters, I smile, not bitterly, but knowingly. Because I've learned something they might not have yet. Love isn't about how you look together. It's about how you make each other feel alone. A few weeks later, as I was leaving the office, David caught up with me. "You doing anything this weekend?" "Not really," I said. "Good," he smiled. "Because I found this amazing bakery. No dress code, I promise." I laughed. That's the best invitation I've heard in a long time. We walked out into the city lights side by side, and for once I didn't think about how I looked next to him, only how comfortable I felt. On my way home that night, I passed a store window. A mannequin wore a white blazer, the exact one Ethan had once made me try on. I stopped for a moment, studying it under the harsh fluorescent lights. Then I smiled, shook my head, and kept walking. The blazer wasn't me. It never had been. Some people will tell you to fix yourself, to